Klonoa! This is a game series that me and so many other people, an entire fandom, love so much. Whether you were a kid in the 90s or finding the games in the current century, these games are a favourite among so many people. I first encountered Klonoa via a demo disc in my early days playing on the PS2. I had this particular demo disc. On the front cover was a character that stood out, Klonoa. I'd never seen him before at that time. Admittedly, I did think he looked like Sonic. I'm so sorry, Klonoa fans, which was partially what drew me in. But those two levels in that one demo captured my attention and showed me that there was a lot more here. I was in love with the game. I searched for Klonoa 2 for years, eventually it landed into my hands in 2013. The game came to me at a time when my life was in shambles. So, Klonoa became something that let me escape reality. 3 years later in 2016, when I got my hands on Daughter Phantomile, the first game, it let me escape reality like I had before. I have a lot of personal connections to these games, so many good memories. Klonoa is something that me and so many other people would like to see more of someday. A distinct memory I remember was having access to the internet for the very first time in 2013, where I began to find out about all the games I had missed out on, including Klonoa 2. I also began to look up cheat codes for games I had as a kid. Cheat codes are some of my favourite things ever in old games. You can go wild with them, and the insanity that ensues with them is super entertaining to me. So you can imagine what I did with the power of the internet in my hands, and with this knowledge in mind, right? I looked at some Klonoa 2 cheat codes in that very same year I got the game. But instead of the insanity I expected, I was met with Game Shark codes for the thing I didn't even have, and something that caught my attention that, since then, has never let go. Mometsuto. That very cheat that caught my attention was to unlock Mometsuto. I tried to input the code listed on that page into the game, tried to do all the things that were listed in order to unlock this supposed character, but to no avail. Years later, I would come to find that I had been fooled for years, that the character that supposedly existed had never done so at all. Sit back, get snacks, make yourself a drink or a cuppa, whatever, and enjoy as I explore the origins of the character that never existed to begin with. My own history with the Mometsuto myth goes back to 2013, as I mentioned before. I found a page that had Klonoa 2 cheats on it. As such, I decided to try some of them out, and that's where I found out about Mometsuto. The reason why it didn't make me think that this was fake was due to its inclusion among other cheats that actually did work if you used the correct codes. I was also pretty gullible back in 2013. Keep in mind I was an early teen, so yeah. So Mometsuto was made out to be legitimate through this, and the name was also very fitting with the world of Klonoa 2. Momet dolls were also collectible in-game, so it made the cheat even more convincing, the idea of collecting these dolls to unlock this character that shared the Momet name. I later discovered that the character Mometsuto didn't actually exist, and that it was fake all along. Despite this, I was interested to know how this whole situation came to be. I wanted to know the root origin. Thus began my search. To start off, I gave a quick Google search of the character's name, which revealed a surprising amount of search results. To be honest, I expected very little, but I digress. The first result is what interested me the most. Wanting to get to the point of origin of the character, I needed the earliest dates possible. And this was perfect! 2001, the year Klonoa 2 was released. This site led me to an old forum post on neoseeker.com dated November 12, 2001, many months after the release of the game. What's interesting to note is that Mometsuto may have not been a myth that originated in European countries, or was highly unlikely to, due to the fact that the game would release in the region on November 9th, days before this thread was created on the Neoseeker forums. Further supporting this is the fact that the poster, Johelian, says this: "Hiya, I'm just wondering how I get to play as Mometsuto. Every website that I go on just says that he's unlocked as a playable character when you complete the game, but I finished it and I've got all the Momet dolls. I'm playing the UK version of the game. Is this character only available in the Japanese version? Johelian bought the UK version of the game, meaning he would have had no prior knowledge of the Mometsuto rumor, or had heard vague references to it. While it could be possible that Johelian is lying and was posing as a UK player for the sake of extracting more information about the rumor, it seems incredibly unlikely that someone would go this far in 2001 to find out something like this. I did try and look to see if I could view Johelian's profile, but it seems the forum has no such functionality. But from what I can tell, Johelian is not the root of the rumour. It's on this first link that those who wish to keep the rumour alive appear, users Cheatmaster and TeamBat. It's not known if these users are related to the original source of the rumour, but since there doesn't appear to be a way to check a user's profile, no more information can really be extracted. More on this page later. Searching for a page earlier than that of the Neoseeker one, I attempted to find some earlier links that could potentially give us a source to the rumour, but to no avail. Instead, I managed to find two magazine sources, which both held some very interesting clues as to how Mometsuto gained so much traction on the internet. The first was a German PS2 magazine. Curious about what Klonoa references were inside, I scanned through the pages, stumbling upon this German text in the Klonoa 2 section. While I cannot speak German, I do have a close friend native to the country, you know who you are. He was able to translate the page for me, resulting in this. Quote, complete the game once to unlock Mometsuto as a playable character. In addition to this, I stumbled upon a text archive and scan archive of a UK PS2 magazine. Specifically, PS2 Official Tips Magazine's issue 005, where lo and behold, I found the exact same text. It should be noted on the latter that Leorina, a core character of Klonoa 2, is seen next to the Mometsuto information, which may have been a key catalyst in fueling speculation about how Leorina was potentially involved in this cheat. Another key point to note is that these magazines are all from 2002, 1 year after the rumour had been created, 1 year after the Neoseeker post. Considering that magazines were super valuable still to consumers back in this era of gaming, since the internet had not become the dominant way of finding out about a game, many players would have been led to believe that this information was accurate. It's highly likely that the magazines took the Mometsuto information from the internet and mistakenly presented it as fact, thereby amplifying the confusion around the supposed character. It's highly possible that the information in the German magazine was spread onto German sites in this era, one such site posting the info in March 2003. My search after this would next lead me towards, strangely of all places, a forum post from a user called VesiY in a Finnish forum for J.R.R. Tolkien's works. A post was made by the user, praising the game heavily, to which fellow forum posters shared such love for the game. Discussion of the game seemed to be going as normal, people asking if the game was good for children to play, others asking about where the enemies came from in the story, until someone in the thread, a user by the name of WaterY, briefly mentioned Mometsuto. Quote, Mometsuto is hollow, according to Google Translate. From this, another user would ask, what kind of character is Mometsuto? I'm curious. To which the response was, Mometsuto is the witty monkey-like with a purple coat. Oddly, this description seems to heavily match that of the character Momet from Klonoa 2, the owner of the Momet dolls, in which you can trade in order to unlock special stages. It seems likely that the posters on this forum had known of the existing rumours of the character, but had confused Momet with whoever the rumours were based around. More on this later. Searching for more links, I stumbled across another site, this one dating to around August of 2003. It simply reads as follows: to control this character, you must pass the game. Written by a user called Vowlan Ignis, I attempted to search their profile, but like the Neoseeker page, it seems that this functionality was not implemented in here, leaving Vowlan untraceable. The information presented by Ignis seems to have been copied from an already existing source, nothing being added, nothing being taken away. All that remains is the standard information. It is possible that Ignis added this information from a Spanish PS2 magazine, one that also had the same information in as the UK and German ones that I previously talked about. All the existing information for the last two magazines is near identical, the only difference being some wording, so the possibility of Ignis' writings being from a Spanish magazine seems very likely. Jumping 1 year to 2004, the rumour of Mometsuto is still going strong, making its way to IGN, to which it had been included on the cheats page of Klonoa 2. I did attempt to find a copy of an archive of the page, although it appears to have been edited or removed entirely. The IGN page led me to a dead end, no further information being gained from it. Going to a different Neoseeker page briefly, I snooped through the cheat section of the Klonoa 2 entry, upon which, once again, I found the same instruction from previous entries on sites I've already looked at. Finish the game to unlock Mometsuto as a playable character. Although the name of the individual who posted it caught me completely off guard. Alvaro Duck. I knew this name, I'm sure of it. So a quick Google search would lead me to the YouTube channel of Alvaro Duck, to which I immediately recognised. Like plenty of people out there, I listen to game OSTs in my spare time. And one such uploader who I have listened to Metal Gear Solid OST uploads in particular was Alvaro Duck. Although it's unknown why he put the information onto the page in 2007, it's likely that Alvaro Duck saw the information elsewhere and thought it was best to include it on the page. Once again, the information is just regurgitated from already existing sites, it seems. From here on out, the rumour would become copied and pasted across the internet. The original source of the rumour unidentified, the individual who started all of this remaining anonymous. Mometsuto is a fascinating case for many reasons. For one, it's a rumour for a game series that, quite frankly, is obscure in of itself. I feel it's also a classic example of an internet mystery, and how the environment of the developing internet allowed this to be so widespread. What exactly do I mean? Allow me to go into detail. With the constantly changing landscape of the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s, not everyone was so well versed in the net like the people watching this video are. Back then, verifying a rumour or a strange image and pinpointing its origins on the internet was far more difficult, and far less people would try to call the rumour out because it was hard to make counterclaims against it. Because everyone on the internet could be very easily influenced back then, because they weren't used to it. Traditional media like magazines still had major prominence and was still very popular, with sales still doing well. A prime example of an internet rumour / hoax would be Polybius, in which YouTuber Ahoy debunked the urban legend and revealed it for what it was. I won't spoil the video, bloody fantastic, and I highly recommend you watch it. But that's a prime example of the power that traditional media had in amplifying internet myths, and Mometsuto's coverage in magazines like what I mentioned before is what I believe to be a major reason as to why it became so indestructible, impenetrable, and unable to be stopped. I find the lack of source links to the roots of the story to be very interesting and strange. I was eventually able to find a page from August of 2001, the earliest source I could find, and once again it says the same information as the future entries. Interestingly, the person who has been editing this page as of recent is a user who created their account in 2014. So there was someone previously who had been keeping it up to date, it seems. Between the time period of March to November in 2001, this is the only page I've managed to dig up that relates to the Mometsuto myth, and may provide some closure to those who want the mystery to be solved. With every myth, speculation and theories arise, so I have a few of my own that can give some closure to the story for those who want to know. The first idea I have is that Mometsuto came from a miscommunication of ideas. Plugging in a second controller when you play Klonoa 2 allows for a second character, Popka, to appear and help Klonoa by giving him a super jump. And in-game, Momet is a character that you can go to unlock special levels with the Momet dolls, and the description of Mometsuto provided by the Tolkien forums makes it clear that Momet may have been confused with another separate character entirely, like Popka for example. It could be possible that someone accidentally confused this information and Mometsuto was created in the process, sharing the name of Momet, who you go to unlock things, and Popka, who acts as the second player, thereby giving an origin to the prevailing information of Mometsuto being a character you can play as. My second idea is that Mometsuto was simply the work of an internet troll, and that people believed the information to be true. Further expanding on this, it could be that whoever was behind this used accounts on forum sites, like the Cheat Master account on NeoSeeker, to introduce the idea, and because the internet was not great at verifying the legitimacy of hearsay at the time, it became accepted by the early Klonoa fandom, and it got amplified in popularity by the magazines that reported this to be true. This is what I personally believe. Whatever the case, Mometsuto was successful, in that it confused and puzzled players for nearly 18 years now, at the time of this video's uploading. With Klonoa 2 being released to critical acclaim, but less than stellar performance, the fandom moved on, and continued to play the games that got released over the years by Namco. Mometsuto was quickly forgotten about, although not before it became embedded on every cheat code page for the game across the internet. It managed to outlive the game it was made around, and for that, whoever designed the myth fooled people for years, a decade even, and considering it's 2019, nearly 2 decades now, we may never know the real story behind the character that never existed, but the remnants of what remain will one day guide us towards the truth.